About once a week for the past 3.5 years, I have had the same dream. The dry desert air sour with the taste of sand. My dusty brown boots planted firmly against the cold steel of my Humvee's turret platform. My dark green truck crawling down the deserted causeway at 10 miles an hour. The coarse fibers of my camouflage war gear gently scraping my skin. My bulletproof vest wrapped snugly around my narrow chest. The reassuring coldness of my machine gun as I gently rest my hands upon it, stroking slowly and methodically up and down its length as though it were an extension of my own cock. And believe me, somebody is about to get fucked.
I went in like 3 days after I graduated high school, so there wasn't much life after high school, I guess. It was like high school, bam, military. Before, you were just, I guess you spent a lot of the time training in case something happened, or like I worked in the intelligence community and you were just maybe preparing for in case something ever happened, and then 9/11 something happened, and so you went from, I guess, practice to like game time.
When I got to Kuwait City, we kind of just sat around in the dirt cleaning guns, and I remember probably a week before the invasion, there was the rumor that we were just going to get sent to Okinawa and that the whole thing was just a fucking like a drill or something. But then just one night at like 3 in the morning, they woke everybody up and they were like, load up, we're leaving. And when I was loading grenades and guided missiles and things like that into my Humvee is when it really kind of hit me that this was actually going to happen. They fill you with so much kind of arrogance and confidence that it really doesn't hit home that your life is in jeopardy until you're actually in a situation where you really think that you're going to die. When my unit returned to California, we're going through the same stupid training regimen, and the whole time we're like, none of this shit helped me before. So there was really like a sense of disillusionment that I shared with a lot of my friends. So long story short, I was court-martialed along with several of my friends, and I was kicked out about the end of January of 2004, and my unit returned to Iraq shortly after that.
I always wanted to go to school. My mom went to school here at FSU. My brother was going here while I was in the Marines, and so I was like, well, hey, we'll try that out. And so here I am.
I applied to Florida State when I was still in California. I'm English creative writing, so basically what I do is I tell stories. I would say probably 80% of the kids who read my stuff will spend that following class period sitting at their desk staring down at the floor because they're afraid to speak to me, and I don't even know how to react to that because it kind of is a reminder that of the distance that's between me and them, and it's not really a distance that I can cover adequately with words.
In my freshman year, I was sitting in class, I think in Fisher Lecture Hall with you know, hundreds of other people in there, you know, sitting next to these people, and they were talking about how they had just graduated like a few months before from high school. And I was like, wow, I have my 10-year reunion coming up in a couple months. So that was a little different. They're like, how old are you?
I'm a person just like them, and I think about a lot of the same things that they do. I just happen to have a different view of what's going on every day around us in the world.
Military people are just like people you see all over FSU every day.
I spend a lot of time, you know, regretting my decision to kind of sort of just cheat my way out a little bit early and avoid that second deployment. And that's not really something that I think any of the people in the CVA would be able to relate to me on.
The CVA is the Collegiate Veterans Association. It's for veterans and their friends, supporters. We like to focus on veterans issues, like either helping out veterans or helping out, you know, veterans in the group, in the community. We have like get-togethers on the weekends sometimes. It's mostly like to keep that camaraderie from the military, but it's like non-political, non-partisan. It's just for people to get together that, you know, have that kind of common military background. When I moved here, all I knew was my brother, who was one of my roommates. Everybody I knew was pretty much through my brother. You know, it was kind of different because none of them had been in the military, really had no idea about it. Like you didn't have like that common interest.
When I got out of the Marine Corps and I ended up, eventually at the University of Hawaii, I felt very alone. My sense was that these kids would feel disillusioned, isolated, don't fit in, they're older, they're more sophisticated, they have more life experience. I mean, I knew that already. My areas of research are mostly in the area of stress and in the context of stress, traumatic stress, including combat-related stress. I think that CVA has provided a very important role for vets here on campus. There was no club here. There was no club at TCC. There was no club at FAMU. No one had ever even talked about it. The people that end up coming to the meetings tend to be those who are proud of their service, who have no pangs or concerns whatsoever in terms of the mission. It's not so much that they're pro-war or even pro-Bush or pro this particular war. It's the notion they've just had a good experience.
I had a class where they got in a debate how they thought it was wrong that American flag was hanging in the classroom. I wanted to go, you know, what the hell? You know the kind of people, maybe you should think about the kind of people you have in your class before you talk about not flying the flag.
From the military perspective, I've never dealt with so many different opinions before. It really makes you struggle with it. Like, I've been fighting for something that I have no business fighting for. Am I just wasting my time, or are these people just not aware of how lucky they are to be in a country where these people are defending them?
Well, these guys come in here and serve us on our formal dinners and stuff, and it's just a night to give back to them for all that they do for us.
And they clean our dishes on a daily basis.
Yes.
The environment here is so geared towards kind of taking people's mind off of what's going on outside of this community to sort of focus on the whole learning experience or the partying experience, depending on who you talk to. And I've found that a lot of people don't like to be reminded that the world is not as nice a place as the FSU campus.
It's probably be very
extremely
tough
hard.
to come back into society and be able to act normal and be with all of us that have no idea what they've been through. And they go through a lot of trauma. Just even going through training is a lot, harsh than to be here, and we're in a little sheltered, community. So them coming back, I think would be hard to have to just act normal again.
Yeah, that's a good answer. I agree.
Once the recruiters got to me, I was already a badass, a killer in my head. The Marine Corps Infantry took care of everything else, providing me with all of the expertise required to proficiently operate sophisticated instruments of death and destruction. But I was never trained to carry all of these memories on my shoulders for the rest of my life. Most of my friends today know very little about my former lifestyle. I've made a conscious effort to subdue that aspect of my personality, if only through neglect. My memoir is entirely based on my personal experiences, as well as things that happened to friends of mine that I would later get from them. I was really excited that they wanted to publish some of my work, especially because this was really like the first thing I ever really produced and took seriously. Basically, like overall, the essay kind of illustrates my shift of mentality from being innocent about what we were really, in for, and then to kind of being sort of like bloodthirsty and like really getting addicted to like the adrenaline rush that comes from, being in dangerous situations, to kind of getting sick of all of it. I guess closure is probably a good way to describe it. Like I feel like by writing it down and by doing justice to the motivations of my friends and myself, just kind of by really putting it out there, I feel like it makes it more like finalizes it in my head, I guess.
The concept and term and definition of post-traumatic stress disorder emerged in 1980 with the publication of the American Psychiatric Association's Diagnostic and Statistical Manual for Mental Disorders. It doesn't mean that you're flawed or that something is bad or wrong. It's simply that you need to attend to it and do something about it, or the injury can turn into something very negative.
Like post-traumatic stress disorder sounds like horrible, like you have AIDS or something now. Like something that maybe you did yourself.
Driving fast, quick to be angry, being suspicious of other people, always wanting to know where the door is and have access, having access to weapons. All those are very natural and normal reactions to surviving a war, a deployment. Well, a lot of people then say, oh, well, that's PTSD. And as a result, oh, that's a psychiatric mental disorder, and therefore you need drugs and you need counseling. So what happens is that as people are trying to adjust to something natural and normal that all of us would have gone through, no matter who we are, they're being marginalized as being mentally ill. We're really proposing a paradigm shift. We're suggesting that rather than perceiving it as a disorder, that it's really an injury.
Like even before we left, they were giving you briefings like, all right, when you go home, don't beat your wife and kids. If you're having problems, come talk to us. I think some people are worried that, they're sitting in a circle like that and they're like, well, I'm not having problems. Why are you having problems? Suck it up.
A lot of my close friends had mental problems from some of the stuff that we were exposed to. And, I'm not interested in being on antidepressants or tranquilizers for the rest of my life just for a $1,200 check for 36 months while I'm in college.
We got a little party going on today. It's the last home game of the season, so that's one reason to party. We've done a lot of stuff with the veterans group. We did like the homecoming parade, the Veterans Day parade. We got T-shirts made, and then had 4 buddies from the Marines that came into town, so that's even more of a reason to party. So we're just having a good old party this today.
We all love each other like brothers, and I can call him a dirty Italian, and it's okay because he's my brother.
I thought I was a dirty Jew this weekend.
Well, you still are.
You're there with your guys, like how we all go out together. Like you don't go to Iraq and be like, oh, I'm over here for bombing Apple Pie. It's like, no, you're over here because like Tony's here, Uncle Tom's here, Sausage Hand's here, Brignoli's here. You're there for those guys.